podcast today. I am your host for today, Rachel Martin. We are here with Leeanne Gardner. So super excited to learn. After I was reading your bio, you have an amazing company that works with some of the best creatures out there, horses, which is so amazing. The company is called Unbridled IT, correct?
Unbridle It.
Unbridle Jesus. I literally went over this. Unbridled It.
Unbridle.
IT. Unbridle.
Unbridle It.
It. Got it. Okay.
Like, what's your it?
What's your it? I like it. Well, and then you have a slogan that is, what lights you up? Can you talk about that a little bit more for us?
Yes, I've had quite a journey, and it's all been about your passion and purpose. Mm-hmm. So what lights you up? So kind of during my corporate career, all of my colleagues would live vicariously through me because I'd be showing horses all over the country. And, I'm like, what's your passion?
Yeah.
And when you ask people, what's your passion? Very few can tell you what it is.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, I think we have another question about, why I left corporate.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. I was just like, wow, how many people out there have no idea what a passion and purpose is?
It's true.
And so I took that as an opportunity to try to help that with the horses because they are one of my big passions.
Yeah. Well, and like you mentioned, you worked in corporate world for 25 plus years,
yes,
which is
I'm
a good
old.
career. Man, I'm at 20 years in events and I'm like, that's not, it's crazy, but how fast time flies. But you were also, like I said, in corporate world for 25 years and then just are like, hey, I got to make a change. I got to make something happen different to not only empower me, but empower the people around you. So
exactly.
what helped you make that change?
Well, I started my corporate career at age 18. And so I've always been a bit of an overachiever. So at age 25, I was an HR manager for American Airlines without a college degree. Started a 500-person call center in Austin. So a bit of a tenacity and driving force. Mm-hmm. And then in 2008 it was, or 2007, I can't even remember what time. Time flies.
In that time frame.
I know. I was with Lowe's Hotels corporate office out of New York, and I was managing the relationship with a technology vendor here in Scottsdale. And they wanted me to move to New York. And I'm like, not going to happen. I got 4 horses. I'm not moving to New York. I'm a small town Kansas girl.
Yeah, you only think of New York as tiny apartments.
And so, I was navigating that just like, do I want to give up a, 6-figure salary and all of these benefits? Mm-hmm. And then because of about the what's your it, I said, here I've got these horses. I think I have a huge opportunity to make a difference with helping people reconnect with a passion and learning just how to show up authentically. So that was how that started, but that was in 2008. And if you remember the economy, it was fantastic. Yeah. So when you leave corporate, you think, I don't need any of these skills I've developed over 25 years.
Yeah.
Because I can be a fantastic entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. Well, all of those skills transfer. So I brushed off my marketing and became a marketing consultant, just to bring up some stuff too.
Yeah, well, and you have a personal journey with the horses that kind of brought you into the position you are now. And I grew up with horses. My family's got a farm in Wisconsin, and like there's just such a spiritual, magical animal, and they do teach you a lot of stuff that people just don't think about. And so that was a huge part of why you kind of transitioned as well, correct?
Mm-hmm. It was. That was. When I was 13, I got my first horse. So I started my love affair with horses at age 7, and my first true love had 4 legs and hooves. And his name was Doobie.
I like that.
Doobie. And so then when my parents divorced at age 15, we had to sell him, which ripped my heart out. So that was the first of a few walls with that, and I walked away from horses because of the pain that I experienced through that. Okay. So for 15 years. So I got into corporate and was just focused on a career, being a career woman. And then when I moved out to Scottsdale from Texas, there was a picture of a horse on a colleague's desk. Mm. And I allowed myself to engage. And that's when I'm like, what am I doing? So then one horse became 6, and then I was married, and we had horse property up here, and I showed all over the country. But horses for me were a safe space growing up. A lot of young women go through some sexual abuse and trauma when they're young, and horses were my safe space. Mm-hmm. So once I reconnected after 16 years, I just was like, this is my passion and purpose, but I didn't understand what that was going to be until much later.
Well, and you're talking about, in a sense, horse therapy, but we were talking about this a little before. Yeah. There's a difference between like PTSD, military horse therapy, autism in children, who never have spoken and then speak on a horse. Mm-hmm. This is a different type of therapy that you're doing. It's not so much the PTSD kind of stuff, but you're doing more of a psychological.
Yeah, it's actually it's empowerment, really, because I'm very clear. I'm not a therapist, nor do I play one on TV. I probably should have been, but I didn't want to go to school. So it's about how do we connect with one another, because horses are the epitome of authenticity. They're very mindful of their safety at all times. They're a prey animal. So just like with women, with my women's groups, so are we. It's not like we're wilted flowers, but we're very mindful of our safety in all the time. And so horses are great at reflecting back to us how we're showing up with our energy, because our energy shows up before we even open up our mouth.
Yeah.
And so horses are going to reflect that back to us, as well as authenticity. So we've lost generations of people through social media and technology. And the one thing with horses is you have to show up and be authentic, because if you're in your head, they won't engage with you.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful for me to invite these people to learn how to tune in and be present and more authentic in their life, because that's going to help them show up more authentically for relationships, both personal, professional, and just for themselves. Because it's very uncomfortable just being and being quiet and not having a device.
Sure.
And the horses really require you to do that.
Yeah.
So what I do is more of an equine assisted learning.
Assisted learning. I like that.
Or
I
assisted
like that.
services.
Yeah.
I don't do the T word.
That doesn't exist.
No, not for me, not so much.
Well, then you mentioned in 2022, you kind of chose to take the reins and kind of go a different direction. And it sounds like you started a nonprofit. I heard about singing earlier.
Yeah, see, I'm singing this afternoon. So
Right,
yeah.
right. And then did you do a book as well?
I did. So
Yeah.
in because all the hats in all the land, because why not,
Just add more to the plate,
I'm like, how many hats? Juggling all the hats in all the land.
Yeah.
So in 2020, I had lost my beloved horse, that my Romeo, who's on the cover of my book, in 2016.
And the book is called?
The book is called Unbridle It, Buck Up and Create Your Happy.
I love
so
it.
it's really a template of what I did to completely transform my life in 2020 at kind of the crux of the pandemic. So I left a relationship with a really good guy, just not for me. And I moved back over to Cave Creek, which was, I needed to realign with the horses because I knew that they were part of my journey.
They were your
my-
word, we don't
that
say
was-
T word, but that's within you.
It was, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's, we talk about passion and purpose. My purpose and passion is to help others through horses. Even if you don't have to like them, they teach us so many lessons. And that's one thing with the therapist. Sometimes get out of the horse's way and let them do the work.
Yeah.
So too many words sometimes. The horses, if you understand horses, you can understand some of the cues that they're going to give us.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I wrote a book about it, which is basically a how-to workbook on how to really take the reins and create a very fulfilling life. And for me, it was horses. And then that later, 5 years ago, became singing. After a few, beers, I was very comfortable and got up there. And now I have my own duo, and so I'm singing this afternoon. But it's encouraging people to whatever lights you up, whatever that passion is that maybe as a child you weren't encouraged to do, or you got married and started having kids, and so you walked away from drawing or painting or singing or dancing. And it's like, you're never too old to start something new. I'm 60, so whatever it is that lights you up, get back to that.
Yeah.
So then the nonprofit started in 2022, and it's called Unbridled Pathways. And so that was another means of me doing programs on a larger scale. And so one of our signature programs is called Unbridled Confidence. And it's a program for middle school age girls. Again, we've lost generations due to social media. And it's about giving them self-empowerment skills and self-confidence to help counteract bullying. Because we are celebrating bullying.
Especially in middle school.
Well, exactly.
Worse for
But
girls.
bullying is being celebrated on a very large platform these days. And so if that's all that they're used to seeing, it's not okay. So it's about how do you claim your own boundaries and self-esteem. So that's been great. And I do some stuff with women too, because,
Well, not to put you on the spot, we only have a couple of seconds left, but what do you think has been the most inspirational person you've worked with through this? I mean, you said a lot with women and children.
Yeah.
Do you have like a quick story of just like, wow, they changed me for the better because I got to help them open up this kind of pathway?
There's a lot of them. I call them my aha moments. So when I do the Women in Winnies, which is a women's program, I was partnering with a woman named Kate Shook, who's amazing, and we're using her horses. And it's just creating a safe space for women to be.
Yeah.
And so when you see them, and we did this kind of tuning in, and they had hands-on horses and some breathing, and this woman couldn't get it. Actually, it was a gentleman. It was an executive,
Oh.
and he could not get out of his head. And
Yeah.
so he's like doing this on the horse, and the horse is all moving. And I said, "Stop, take a deep breath, put your hands on the horse, take a deep breath." And the horse exhaled, and he just looked at me with this smile. He's like, "That is the coolest thing I've ever experienced." So I think with all the women, but
Yeah.
that executive is the one and then he couldn't get the smile off of his face.
Oh,
So it was
that's
very
so
cool.
sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much
Yes.
for sharing with us
Thank you
today.
for having me on, Rachel.
I love horses. I love the inspiration of
You'll
it.
have to
so
come.
I know. I will definitely.
Yeah. Women and
up in
Winnies
Cave
when it
Creek.
cools off. Yep.
Yep, I love it. Okay, well, thank you. And thank you guys so much for taking out your time today and listening to the 10 and 10 podcast with Leeanne. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day.
Thanks.